Yep, I'm live, but the screen is stuck, which is not good. And yep, this live stream is like I haven't streamed for 3 to 4 days, which is horrible. But now I guess I will be streaming more. I am back, I suppose. I hope. Um, yep, now it is fine. And yep, you guys can see. And today I will be solving Advent of Code in C++. And live chat, this is the app which I wrote, which gets my chat. Live chats below, no chats yet, which is just crazy. I can just run this program which will get me the chats, live chats below, no chats yet. And I think if there are any chats, this no chats yet will still stay. It will not go away. Of course it will not go away. I haven't written any piece of code which removes text from the terminal. I don't even know how I can do that. Let me send a message and see if it is working. But I suppose it is working. I have tested it before, but let's see if it actually is working now. Mhm. Mhm. Where is my channel? And yeah, I have to stream. I haven't been streaming, which is horrible. If I am live, you can see my stream. Hello. I should hear something. I didn't. Well, the message is there, but I should have heard a beep or something. Shit. Um, Let me do something. Mm-hmm. So it is working, which is fine. But I should have heard a sound or something. And yeah, uh, the name is in red and the message is in green. So, okay. And now, Advent of Code. I was doing this on my own yesterday, and I was doing Advent of Code for 2018. And why am I doing Advent of Code? I am doing Advent of Code because I want to get better at C++. Why am I doing C++? Because I thought that I will be writing code, quite a bit of code in C, so why not write it in C++, which would, like, why not just write it in a superset? So I thought, yeah, C++, therefore. And to get to know the syntax of C++, I will be solving 10, at least 10 questions of Advent of Code. And currently I am at day number 4, like question number 4 of Advent of Code. And yeah, I have to figure out some stuff here. You can read the question. The thing is that in this I have given these entries, and I have to figure out which and these entries say that on this date, on this time, this guard started their shift, and then whoever the guard was at this day at this time felt asleep and then woke up. And that is how all the entries are. I have to figure out the name of the guard, the ID of the guard who slept the most, and then multiply that with the minute in which that guard slept the most. That is what I have to do. And I have already sorted the entries so that the first entry refers to the first entry ever in time. I have sorted them in time. So that is what I have done till now. And I forgot what the fuck. I did this like 1-2 days ago. And what was this? This here is regex. Yep. In this part I have sorted the whole thing and I am solving it one by one. I am matching it with a regular expression, which is this, and I'm taking the r, the previous, I'm storing the previous hour, the previous minute, the current hour, the current minute, and I'm printing it due to some reason, and then I'm checking it if it is an entry for a guard, like a guard starts their shift. And if it is an entry for wake up, there are only three types of entries: entry about a guard starting their shift, entry about waking up, and an entry about falling asleep. And since they are in temporal order, I know that if there is a guard thing, if there is a guard entry, then I have to see if the last guard who was there, was he asleep or was he awake. And if he was asleep, then I would have to add that much time to his sleeping hours. Yep. And yeah, that is it. And if he was not asleep, then I don't care about what the thing was. Now, how am I going to store all of this data? I cannot just store the amount of hours for which they slept, because then yeah, I cannot just simply store that, because I would be needing afterwards the exact minute in which they slept the most throughout their shift and throughout all of their shifts. And I do not want to go through the entries again, so I guess a key dictionary kind of thing would be fine, would be preferred. And in C++ we have this thing called unordered maps, which is right here, and I am trying to use an integer as a key and an integer pointer as the value. So integer key would be the ID of the guard, and integer pointer would be a pointer to an array, which would store which would have like which would have 60 elements, 0 indexed, 0 through 59. And if they were asleep for that minute, it would have 1. And if they were sleeping twice in some minute during 2 shifts, then it would be 2, and it would just contain during how many of their shifts they were sleeping in that particular minute. And yep, so how am I going to store that? Yep, here I am initializing guard. Yep, regular expression. This thing gets the ID of the guard. I have the ID of the previous guard. I have the ID of the current guard, which is cool. And if guard dot count for current guard equals 0, that is the ID for the current guard does not exist, then I have to create an ID. And for that I will be inserting current guard with this table, which I have initialized using malloc, and I will not free it because this is a small program. And memory leaks, I do not have to care about memory leaks because this is a very small program. And yep, after initializing guard, then I will check if the previous guard was sleeping or not. Is sleeping is a variable which I set on whenever someone is sleeping. And I do 60 minus previous minutes, which previous minute means the time, the previous minute in which the guard was asleep. Now, yep. End sleep time equals 60 minus previous minute. This would give me the amount of time, the literal amount, number of minutes for which the guard was sleeping, and the previous guard was sleeping during her shift. And for int I, previous guard I plus 1 is, and then I am updating that previous guard's value in the guard array and adding 1 to all of the entries, right? That tool. And here also, after initializing, I have to go through the array and make it equal to 1. Yep. For int I equals 0, I less than 60, I plus plus means bracket I equals 0. I have to initialize it to 0. I do not want any garbage values from the heap in my array. Guard map is the string streaming. Yes, it is stream. After that, this should be fine, and I want to store the ID of the guard with the maximum sleeping hours and also the maximum sleeping hours, so that I can update it later. So that, yes, I have something to compare it with. Integer max sleep ID, I have max sleep ID, and let me do max sleep hours also. And yep, here I am checking max sleep ID less than max sleep guard. That's not something that I should do, and instead I should do max sleep hours. If max sleep hours less than what the current guard has slept for, which would be equal to, how would I calculate it? That is true. How would I calculate it? Would I go through the array? Okay, so let me just stop this and only update the time for which they were sleeping, and after that I can go through this guard array and calculate the sleeping hours for every guard and see which one has the largest amount, which guard is slept for the maximum amount of time, which would, the time complexity for that thing would be equal to the number of guards multiplied by 60. So n 60 n o of n, and yeah, I also sorted the thing before, so n log n, and here I am going through the entries once. So n plus n plus log n plus n log n, so n into 1 plus log n, which can be seen as log n. So n log n is the whole thing. Is it sleeping? Yep. So this part is done when I see a guard. Okay, and then I can say that current guard is awake, and then I will check if the current entry is about waking up. Then I'll see if previous hours was 23. That is, the guard went to sleep at 23rd hour. Then I only have to add minutes of the current hour. That is true, but not like this. I would have to go through the array which stores this. For int I equals 0. Yes, I can do that. Replace this with j and replace this with j. This also with j. This wouldn't affect the high level I variable, but still, let's do this, and then till I less than minute and I plus plus. What do I have to do? Guard map bracket current guard bracket I plus 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 plus. Yep, plus plus is much better than doing this thing. Yep, plus plus. Yep, that is cool. And then else, if that is not the case, then I have to do for int j equals previous minute minus 1 prev minute minus 1 and j is less than minute and j plus plus. Is that correct? Previous minute minus 1, let's say if it is 5, and where would the fifth minute be at the fourth index? So yeah, that is true. Yep, that is true. And I can just do guard map current guard bracket j, not I plus plus, and here also bracket j and j, and here also j, and yep, I have been stupid here. J, make this also j, and yep, things seem fine. This should be fine. This should also work. This should also work. Yep. If guard map max sleep ID, I'm not checking for the max sleep ID, I can say then turn is sleeping equal to false, and when I see else, the else condition, which is a guard is started to sleep, then I just turn is sleeping equal to true, which is cool. And let me see if this thing compiles and just runs. Line plus plus using iCurl, and yep, I fucked up. Guard dot insert current means unordered map integer, and integer pointer insert requested here. Indirection requires pointer operand. Integer is invalid. Am I providing it an integer? I suppose I'm not. Malloc means and go to means. Nope. This thing. Yeah. Yep. This was the error that I was facing before. Here, this should be true. Yep. This should be true, and this should compile. Even more errors now. Okay. Very unintelligible errors. No matching member function call to insert. Matching member function call, that would mean that the parameters with which insert has been overloaded, it means none of them. Okay, templates, it meets none of those parameters. This should actually have worked. Wait. It's like this, and it should be like this. This means pointer. How would I say I want a template in C++? I want to specify a template for an int pointer. Int pointer, is this fine? No. Then what is it? Integer pointer, my template. I'll put a special template for integer pointer. No, integer pointer, a pointer to an integer is not valid specialization for a template that expects a type parameter in the usual. If you want to create a template that works specifically with integer pointer, you need to specify it explicitly. input stream IO template name t template okay, that is just how you create a template. Well, there is no a semicolon at the end. Struct my template show generic template specialization for integer template. Okay, let me tell you the whole thing. I want to create an unordered map from int to int pointer, and the code I have and the initialization I have written is this what is it, std an order map which says integer and integer pointer. Is this fine? Yes. This seems to be fine. Yep, integer to integer pointer, giving in the address of these things. My thing giving error. Key considerations: pointer is to map is source pointers, not actual integer values. If the reference pointer goes out of scope or are deleted, dereferencing them will cause undefined behavior. Memory. If new manual memory management, if using new, if you are allocate memory dynamically, new integer ensure proper deallocation, delete or consider using smart pointer. I do not know about smart pointers. Alternative approach: use this if mapping pointers is necessary. Consider storing integers directly. Nope. That should not cause any problem. I am getting memory using malloc and then using that pointer to integer. That is correct, right? Pointer to integer. Yep, pointer to integer using malloc. Using that pointer to integer in the insert method is giving me error. If you are allocating memory using malloc, you need to ensure that the pointer is correctly handled in C++. Here is what might be causing our potential issues. Incorrect type handling. Type handling is fine. Returns a void pointer, so it needs explicitly cast into int pointer. That is correct. Wrong. Insert syntax. When using insert, you need to provide either a key value pair or an std pair. Yes, I am providing a key value pair, which should work. Insert. Okay. Make pair. Okay. So the syntax for the thing is wrong. Seems like that was syntax was wrong. So it is running without any issues. So the thing is that syntax here was wrong. Why should this be given in like this? Correct usage is this into the map. Explicit typecast, yep, because it malloc returns a void pointer. I have to typecast it into an integer pointer and then put it in the key value pairs. Correct. Insert syntax. My map.insert this syntax either with this or either with make pair. Memory management: since you are using malloc, you must use free to avoid the leaks. Alternative approach: integer pointer new, then this, and then this. This is beautiful, more beautiful than using malloc. I will be using this thing then. Where is malloc? Yep. Int pointer means, yep, means equals new int 60. Yep, that is much more beautiful and elegant. Okay, why do I have to use um, 1 comma ptr1 syntax or std make pair? Shouldn't I be able to give two values and then store them there? Uh, Maybe the thing is that the unordered map stores references to these pairs and not key value pairs themselves You are absolutely right to question why we use this, or this is required instead of directly passing two arguments like this and this. The reason lies in how unordered map dot insert is designed. Why does insert require this or this? Expects a single argument, that is either a pair or pair object in this case like this, and initializer list like this. Initializer list which gets converted into this thing. It does not accept two separate arguments directly. How does unordered map stores elements? An unordered map KV stores elements as std pair constant, where k is a constant and we can change. That means internally it holds key value pairs as objects, not as separate key and value entities. Key value, so it creates a structure of key value pairs, different structures for key value pairs, where one thing is the key and the other is the value. Internally it holds key value pairs as object, not as separate keys, and so after creating these key value pair structures, it stores references to these structures instead of storing the key and value separately themselves. Insert this is equivalent to insert standard pair of an integer and integer pointer. Why doesn't this work? If insert allowed this, the compiler would not know what you meant. This key value pair a hypothetical to argument overload which doesn't exist for insert. This ambiguity, what is the ambiguity? If insert allowed insert one pointer, the compiler would not know whether you meant key value pair or a hypothetical two argument overload which does not exist for insert. Okay, so I have two points. This could be either inserting a value like this, providing an integer and an integer pointer, or a hypothetical two argument overload which does not exist for insert. So if that overload does not exist, then it should not be considered as a possibility. Therefore this should be run and there should not be any ambiguity, because this thing hypothetical two argument overload does not exist for insert. Alternative ways to insert elements like this by making make pair with type, this operator it works too. Okay. 24. At this point I have the whole guard map mapped. Now I want to traverse through that thing. So for int key in guarded map, will this work? That does not work. Okay, conversion from key to key type this integer. Okay, can I get the keys? Guard map dot keys equal. What does this give me? Keys equal unordered map key equal provided by unordered map. How do I traverse through an unordered map? I also have the documentation, by the way, downloaded offline. For loop, okay, const first and second, okay, const auto reference to auto pair, okay, that makes sense. For const auto reference, and what is the type? It will be automatically concerned scene pair over guarded map. No errors, that is cool. Yes, and now I have guard id. Let me print the whole thing. Int id equals pair dot first and int equals pair dot second, and this has to be a pointer, integer pointer. Now I'll print this thing. Cout takes in id and prints the id. Yep, and then it prints a new line. Not a new line, but then I would like it to print the array. For int I equals 0, I less than 60, I percent d. Yep, percent d and comma. And what is the percent d? It is sleeps bracket I. Yep. Yes, that is cool. And then std cout takes in closing bracket and new line. That should do it. Run it. Should see quite a bit of things, and I fucked it up. Free list is damaged. This heap corruption detected. Set a breakpoint in malloc. And is it due to this thing? Lang out. Okay. Heap corruption detected. Okay, at that place it was working just fine. Why is heap? Okay, I changed this thing to new. Is that causing a heap? When I'm using new to get some memory, it will not go out of. I can still access it. What does the new thing return? What does new return? Does it return a pointer, or what the fuck does it return? It returns a pointer. The new operator in C++ allocates memory and returns a pointer to the allocated memory. The type of the pointer depends on the type of the object being allocated. New returns a pointer to the allocated type. When you allocate an object using new, it returns a pointer of that type. Okay, integer pointer new integer 10 output 10 pointer to one integer. I want 10 a pointer to 10 integers, like the first integer, which has 59 more integers after it, and I wanted to point it to the first integer. New with arrays allocates space for 5 integers. Yes. 60. Now that should work, and before that, let me uncomment this whole thing. And let's see if it works. Es funktioniert. Es funktioniert. Okay. I am getting things, and did they actually never slept? There are some guards who have been sleeping quite a bit.